Hi, in this video I would like to show you how to register user in a database, and I will cover how to register user through input in the front end, and also how to send the request to a server on a backend and save that data in database. So we'll do registering user in this video. For backend technology we will be using Django framework. As you can see here, and for a front end we'll use Angular. So first thing first, what you will need to do is you will need to make sure you have Python installed in here. So you go to the python.org and go to the download section and install Python on your for your operating system. Make sure you have the latest version 3.6 or at least 3.5 or later. So you can go to make sure you have Python installed. You can go to terminal and you can type in Python version and Python version like this, and you can see what version you have installed. Another thing what we'll need to do to have installed is the Angular CLI for front end. So you need to do npm install Angular CLI. Also make sure you have Node.js installed. So we just follow a procedure in there. Once you have the Angular CLI, you can do ng version like this, and you can see that Angular CLI is installed on your machine. If you have it like this, you can start following this tutorial how to create end-to-end solution for registering a user. So let's go. Also, I will show you that I will be using two IDEs in this tutorial. It will be for backend Python, it will be PyCharm, and there is a community version, so just download this one, it's for free. And for front-end Angular I will be using Visual Studio Code. Okay, that's enough for installation and requirements. Let's start with our backend API. So we will be on top of the Django framework. We'll be using Django Rest Framework. That's another library that will extend Django as a REST Framework API. So in here we have a section Quick Start. If we go here, we can start following this tutorial they have on there. We'll change a few things, and I will show you how quickly in a few minutes we can set up our API. So what they want us to do is they want us to create a folder. So let's go to the desktop here, and I can do mkdir, and I can create my project. You can name it whatever you like, it's just the name of the folder. So let's go to that folder, my project, and we'll need to install the virtual environment. I'm not going to use it as they have it in here. I will do Python and venv. And so what I'm doing here is, if you have Python 3.5 installed, you can use this command to create virtual environment. Virtual environment, it's it will allow you to install all the dependencies in one place. So you are not going to install anything globally. You will install that directly in the folder. So whatever plugins or libraries you will need, it will be installed there. So you can have another project in another place in your computer, and it will use a completely different setup. So it's a nice way to encapsulate your project dependencies. So now we need to activate the environment. So we need to do venv and then script and activate, and venv scripts, I think it's plural, scripts activate. And as you can see here, venv, I have my environment set up. Now I can install things. So I can do pip install Django. It will take a while. It will need to download the Django and install inside the virtual environment in here. So it depends on your internet connection. It might take longer or short. The pip comes with Python, so once you have the Python installed, you will also have the pip. It's pip. It's a shortcut for Python installer packages or something like that. Anyway, now we are waiting for a Python to be installed, and then another thing what we'll need to do is we'll need to install this one, so I can copy that meanwhile. And we have that, so I will install the Django Rest Framework, and that's all done. And so we have this installed. Now we need to create start project. So we're just following the tutorial they have on the website. So start project, we can do we can name it my project. You can name it whatever you like, and at the end of this just do space and dot. That means it in the current folder, and then we need to go to that folder. So the my project. Let's see what's inside. Actually, nothing has been installed there. So my project, Django admin, my project dot, no Django settings specified. Oh, we forget about start project command. Start project like this. So we have start project, my project, like that, and now we have it. So now I can go to cd my project, and inside here I need to do this one, start app, and I will need to say what app I would like to install. So I will go like this, and let's say my application will be API. So we can have we can have a project inside, we can have an application, and we can have multiple application per project. So you just name it project, and also you name the application. For simplicity, I just call it my project, and the app as a API. So what we need to do, they use tutorial and quick start in their settings. So I'll go one folder up, and then we can we can do things in here. So next thing what we need to do, I will just ignore parts that are not important for us. I will do migrate. And once I've done migrate, it will create a MySQL, SQLite database, and it will inject in the database initial information coming from Django. So that's done. What I will need to also do is, if I copy this, I can create a super user. It will ask me for a username. Default is the user that I'm logging on this computer. It's fine. Email address, I will do test.com, and password my project 01. My project is 01. And I have a user created. So next thing what I will need to do, I will switch actually at this point I can switch to my IDE. I could also have done that in the IDE, so I will show you. If I go to the PyCharm, I can do open a new project, and I can go here, and I have my folder, my project here. So I will open that. This is the folder I just created, the project, and you can see virtual environment folder, and also my my files for Django Rest Framework all here. So let's follow along with the tutorial. They ask us to do serializers and use this. So let's create a serializer file. We need to do it here. So right click, new file, Serializers PI, and I will paste this in here. In this tutorial, we are not going to use any groups. I will just get rid of the groups here. I will simplify everything here. So I will save it here, and the next thing we'll need to do views. So I will just copy whatever they have here, go back here, and the views I will just paste whatever here. I can also remove the groups. We're not interested in groups here. And in here they use tutorial and quick start. In our case it's my project and API. And you can see nothing is read anymore. I will save this file and come here. So in here they ask us to to put that inside the URLs, and the URLs inside our application. So I will create a new file and URLs PI, and I will paste it in here. So basically it's a mapping for our URL, and whatever models we have, we can also will also can include all the roads for this, and that's built in all the methods. I will get rid of the groups here for simplicity. My project API, like in the previous files, so I will save it in here. And what I'm saying, you also have the URLs in here, but the URLs here will be only for this specific application, and this will be for the project. So inside here we also need to make sure that we'll provide a path to our API project. So I have a little snippet here that I can copy from here, and I can paste it in here. So basically what I'm doing here is, if you type in URL/admin, you will go to the admin page. That's built-in page for in Django. And if you type in the URL/API, you will be redirected to this URL API, and you will use all the paths available on this API. So you will have like two-level a router on this setup. So let's go back here, and inside the settings I also need to tell Django that I'm gonna use the Rest Framework, and I need to put it in installed apps. So what I will do here is I will open the settings here, I will find installed apps, and I will include it like this. I need to make sure that's indented, and I will save it. So coming back here, now we can actually start testing our application. I will go here. In this IDE you have terminal here. It's the same terminal as in here, so you could do it either here or in here. As you can see, virtual environment is automatically selected, so you can do here, run server, and it's a very convenient way to run this. You can see here a URL. I will copy this URL. If I go here and I will paste it like this, you can see my URLs are here listed. So what I can do is I can do admin, and you can see my admin section is here. So my application is working. Also I can do API. That's my another URL API, and you can see I have my different kind of view that's built in view in Django as well. So I can do users, and you can see this is my user that I have created before. So we have API almost ready for registering new user. If I want to create a new user here, I can post it from here. And also if I will do admin, and if I will authenticate here, and then I can do my project 01, my project 01, the password that I've set out creating super user. As you can see here, I have users and group, and I can create a new user directly from here. So that's a really handy, a nice user interface for managing database and creating and updating everything here. But our goal is to create a RESTful API, so we're not going to use anything like this in here, but we'll use RESTful. So what I will need to do is I will need to make sure that wherever we will save the users, or if we want to see users, will provide proper information. So I have another snippet here, and I can go Serializers here, and I will just copy this and I can paste it here. So basically I can show you the difference what was in before and after. So we have in the fields we had this. I've changed it for ID. We don't need to have URL and also include password, but the password I have to say this is write only and it's required true. So whatever you ask for user, the password won't be printed back, and it's not going to be returned in the JSON, but we want to have that password inside here, because if we register user, we need to provide a password. So we remove this duplicate here. As you can see here, I also create another method here, and I'm overriding built-in create method in Django for creating user. Well, I'm not doing here anything different than what Django is doing, but I use validated data. That will make sure the password that I'm passing through HTTP request will be hashed, so it's not going to be stored in a database as a raw string. So just simple like this, it will create user, but validated data, it will force Django to hash the password on our database. And at the end of this call, I'll just return the user. So at this point, we have our API ready for to work to register the user. And what I need to do is I will need to come back to our terminal in some other place. And I will create Angular application for a frontend. So let's come back here, and you can see here you have a little instruction how you can create application. We do have an Angular CLI installed, so now I will create a new application with ng-new command. So I will do ng-new, and I will do web just for shortcut. It will create this folder for me, and it will instantiate and install all the dependencies for this project, and it will install the latest version of Angular, and it will bootstrap everything and create. It will be actually a Hello World application ready for us. So the next step, we'll need to just navigate to this and do command ng-serve, and I will do that in a second once this will finish installing. So as I said before, this might take longer or shorter, depends on your internet connection. It shouldn't take that long. Usually it's maybe a minute or maximum 2 minutes to finish. And so meanwhile, once this is installed, I can actually start to open this folder in our IDE, the Visual Studio Code. And as you can see here on my desktop, I have already this folder created for me by Angular CLI. So we'll open this, and you can see here, I don't know if it's still downloading some packages, but you can see here that I already have some files in here. So this is a typical Angular file setup. We have a package.json. This is very important file for us because it will list all the dependencies we will have for our project. And you can see here dependencies and also dev dependencies. Whatever you installed, it will be also printed here. And where if you do npm install, it will take that list and it will install everything what needs for this specific project inside node modules. So this node modules, you can remove it, and next time you will visit, you can do npm install and it will be here. I think that's finished already. So we already have everything installed in there, so I can close it here. And if you need terminal in here, I can also go view and integrate terminal, and as you can see here, I have terminal, so I don't need to open that again. That's really beautiful in the IDEs, that you have everything integrated in one program. So according to this instruction, I need to do ng-serve, and I will do that now. And ng-serve inside here, and it will take a moment, and it will build our application, and it will run it on localhost 4200, and that's already done. You can see successfully, and I can open that here, and you can see welcome to application. So I can close all of that for now. I don't need to have it. You can see my application is here. And what I will do here is I will make some more space, and I will clean a little bit in here and this screen, because I don't need it. That has been created automatically by Angular CLI. I'll go source, and inside the application I have all the files in here. So HTML, we can see welcome and all the links in here. That's inside the app component HTML. I'll remove all of that, and I will just leave this div, and I will also remove this. If I save it here, as you can see here, it's automatically watch all the files, and it will update the viewing here. So that's very convenient way to work. So welcome to I can do my project, and I will save it here, and you can see welcome to my project here. Okay, so what we'll need to do here is we'll need to have some input fields. For our registering user. So I will have input, and I will do ng model, and I will do register username, and then I will also need to, I will close it here. Well, actually what I can do first is I can go to a controller here, and I can create that variable, so it will be easier for you to understand what I'm doing here. What I need to do is implements on init, and I will need to do so I will have my register. It will be an object with some values inside. So I will do a username, and that's gonna be empty string, and I will do password. That's gonna be, I think I need to do single quotes, otherwise the JSLint will complain about the styling, and also I will need to do email. So inside here, I need to use keywords this. So will have for this component I will have a variable register, and I referring this whenever this component is ready. So on initiate I will just set the register username, password, and email to empty strings. I will end it with a semicolon here, so I have the empty object here, and then for each of this properties I will create new input. I will have username, password, and also email, and in here I can do type password, and the type password will just give that asterisk instead of showing the real values. And inside here I can do a button as well, and then I can say register user. I need to also do an event on click. Whenever user click this, will do register, and we'll need to create that method inside our component. So I will go here, register, and we have that. I need to name it different than my variable, so register user, and also register user here, and there's no errors. So inside here I will have a logic to send this HTTP request to my API, but for now I just want to make sure everything is working here. The reason why nothing is showing here, if I will show you the console here, we have an error that the input isn't no property of the input. The reason for this is that we need to import the form modules inside our inside our Angular application. So I will go app modules and I need to import forms in here. I have a little snippet here, so I can do this. I will also grab the HTTP as well, because we'll need to have it in a later section. So I will import two modules here, and I will put it also inside imports. So for module, this is the one that we'll need, and we'll bootstrap it with app module. So whatever our application will start, it will initiate all that with the imports here. So HTTP client will be responsible for sending HTTP request, and form modules will handle the forms. So as you can see here, I already have my fields here. I will actually make it here. It will be easier to see. So we have our three inputs. What I can do here, I can break them to another. I can break them to another line, and I will just separate them like this. And also what I can do is I can do a placeholder, and I can do username here. And I will do that also for two other inputs for visual representation. What field is what? So password here and email here. Once I will save it, you can see this is updated. So username here, password, email, and in the register here, I will just capture these inputs, and I will have that available for me on this variable. So now what we need to do is we need to create a register service. So I will just Control C here, and I will kill this process. As you can see here, this is disconnected. So it's not gonna refresh anymore, and I will do ng generate service, and then I can say my service will be user. So this ng, this is another CLI method, so it will create a file for me, and it will create a, as you can see here, user service. Two files. Spec file is for testing. The user service is the one that I'm interested in. So you have user service in here. That's the newly created file by Angular CLI, and we'll put our HTTP request inside here. So we also need to make sure that we will import that user service inside our component. So what I can do is we will have a constructor like this, and inside I will do private variable, and I will do user service, which smaller case, and that's going to be user service. And I will do import that in here. So I will import the user service from our file, and I will use this in this place. I also make some spaces for not JSLint to complain about the styles. So I have that available for me. Also, I will need to include it here in providers. So providers, and I will include user service in here. Now everything is ready. I can actually use this user service, and then I will do register, and then I can do subscribe. Well, actually I'll come back in here. Let's do the service first. So inside the service I don't have a register yet. What I will do is I will need to make sure I will use the HTTP. So we have another snippet here. It will just make things faster. I will copy this. Basically I can copy the whole thing here, and I will show you what I've done. So user service, I have that. So basically we need to import HTTP from common Angular and HTTP client and headers, and also we need to import observable from RxJS libraries. In constructor we just create our private variable, which the HTTP client, this library here, and we have HTTP. So inside our register user method that will reference in our component, we have return. So at the end of this request, we'll just return this HTTP post, and this URL here 127.0.0.1 is exactly the same URL as we had it in our Django. As you can see here, that's our URL, and you also see 8000 port. So this is local server running we have on our machine, and we reference that with the API, as you can see here, and also the users. So users at the end of this will will do post method for users. That means we want to inject another user inside our database. So this method requires user data. User data will be passed as a parameters to this post method. So the service is done. What we need to do, we need to use this this method, and we need to pass user data to this method, and we expect observable here. So let's do it now. So we have a user service, register user, and then we need to pass for this method, we need to pass user data. So in our case is this register, and that will include username, password, and email. And we this will return observable, we can subscribe to it. Subscribe to it, and then I can do like this, and then we can have response if success. I'll do arrow function here, console log, or I can do let's say alert user, let's do it user, and then has been created. Has been created, and also I will include the username in here. So basically I will just alert the user, and then username that we pick inside our form has been created. I will just alert this. If there is no success, it will be an error, and for error we can error and arrow function here, and I can do console log error. So we are not going to handle errors in this tutorial, but we have an option to catch it and do something with this, and to display some results for user. Subscribe. So we have this. I think I need to finish that like this. So this is ready. So basically whatever we click in here on this button will trigger this function. This function will use our method in our service, will push this data to the service, and it will come back with a response or an error. So let's test it now and see how it works. We need to make sure that the application is running. So ng-serve, again like this. And it failed to comply. We can see some problems here. So it complains the app component here, its property register user does not exist on user service. So we can see register user here. I think we name it in the same way in both places. So we have user service here, register user is available here, and it's require, let's register, I can name it new user, and make sure we have that inside here. New user service is pointing to this. Let's see if we'll have the same error. Register new user does, oh, now it's compiling so I just forgot to save one of the file. As you can see here, the dot in here, that means the file hasn't been saved. So you need to do Ctrl S, and it will be saved. So I just forgot to save one of the file, and it was out of the sync with the other one. Okay, so now we have the application running here. We need to make sure we refresh this, because we stop Angular. Now Angular is running, so whatever we change here, it will auto update now here. So let's try to do new user, and I can do password my project the same password as I had 01 and email test test2com whatever. We are not really interested in the details here. I will click register here, and you can see here I have some errors, and also in here. So it's been stuck at the options here, so it's not actually doing post method here. The reason for this is it complained about cross origin request blocked. For this reason, our API is complaining that someone tried to inject something in our database from not trusting source. What we will need to do is we need to tell a Django API that we would like to use this course. What we can do is I can do course Django here. I'll make it bigger, and so I'll use this library Django course headers. And to install this, we'll need to grab this pip install the same way as we've done it. So I will just kill the process here, and I will install that inside here, and Django course has been installed. What I need to do is I also need to add course headers inside installed apps. So settings here, installed apps, course headers like this. I will save it, and then what we also need to do, we need to add these two lines into middleware here like this, indentation, and then inside the configuration we can course origin allow all, or we can have a whitelisted URLs that we want Django to allow to access the resources. So I will use this, and inside here I'll just create a new section, and in our case it is the URL of our Angular, so localhost 4000. That's the one that we want to whitelist it. I will come back here, and I will just put it inside here. I can remove for now all the rest of them, so we can add more if you need it. So you can have dev server, production server, or the local environment server, as many as you like in here. So I'll just save it. Now I will do Python manage py run server again, because I've killed the server before, to install course run server, and I have my server running. So let's try it once again, and new user has been created. So and if I go to the network, you can see post here. So I've sent this data, email, password, and username, and in response I can see this user is ID2. The first one was the one I created with super user, username and email has been created. So this is fully working register with Django API and Angular. We've done it in a few minutes, and this is very simplified version. What you will need to do is, so you will need to also do a validation in here, and some proper styling, and some other stuff that you want to do. And so, but this is supposed to be only a simple example how you can very fast set up API for you to work, and also Angular, and how you can connect it both of them together with the HTTP requests. So this is fully working example. If you want to, I try to have that tutorial not very descriptive. It should be more like a solution, but if you want to know more in details, I have a course here that I cover this topic, and that's 15 hours that's 15 hours on-demand video, and I fully cover backend API and also Angular web app. Also, I have a mobile apps cross-platform using this the same API, and I talk a lot of about what we've done inside this tutorial. So you can see backend API. You can see I go through the settings for the Django project, IDEs, and I talk about a lot of important stuff. So if you're interested in more details, how everything is, how everything works, and how it is everything connected, feel free to use the this coupon. I will provide the coupon in the description of this video, so feel free to use it. There is a 80% off already included in the link if you're interested. Also, I would like to ask you for subscribe to my channel if you don't mind. That will help me to get actually some money out of it, and this will motivate me to create new videos. I'll try to record some more videos about the full dev full stack development every week, and to give you some nice tips and quick solution for important stuff. Okay, thank you for watching, and as I said, like the video and subscribe it. That will help me a lot. Thank you.